Here we go. This talk is going to be about low confidence and what it really means. First things first, there's nothing wrong with you, period. Not a fucking thing wrong with you at all. You've been taught certain things. You've been taught to believe certain things about yourself, but that's actually a bunch of anymore, okay? Here's the real deal. Number one thing that you've been taught, especially as a woman, is to fear power, to fear it. When people get in positions of power, quote unquote, because I don't believe in people lording it over other people, so I always like to use the quotes. But when people get in positions of power over your head and really hang over you like that, to let you know who's boss, and this could be anybody in your life that does that, your father, your manager, uh, college professors, the police, boyfriends, okay? They all have that same vibe sometimes. Well, God damn it, you're gonna do what I say if it's the last thing. That same. So when you're bombarded, if you like, with that vibe, it's hard to see yourself as someone who's gonna rise up against it and succeed, because it's being used, that position of so-called power is being used to hound you and to make sure you don't ever raise your head up too high. Because of that brainwashing, you are unsure of your own power and you're afraid of your own power. There may even be a part of you that fears that you might turn into a monster if you got a taste of power for once. Therefore, to avoid being a monster, you're going to shun your own power and shut it down and not plug into it, and instead turn your back on yourself and say, well, I can't do shit in life, but at least I'm not an asshole. And so, see, you're hurting yourself by doing that. And you're assuming, because you've been taught, and you've been shown that people who get into high places like that really tear it to shreds. They really tear everybody's ass up. And they do that because they have no goddamn business being in a position of power, and they should not be there, and they really need to have their asses beat, and they need to be put in a onesie, and they need to be put in a cage somewhere. A onesie with footies in a cage, like a dog, but worse. But those people somehow end up being in high places and they're telling everybody what to do, and I don't know why. I don't know how they make it, but they do. So, that being the situation, you've been shown that a position of power is not a good thing. It doesn't look good. It doesn't feel good. It doesn't, they do things they should not be doing. It's shown you that there's no positive representation or association with that. So when that happens, you get turned off from any sensation or any thoughts or any hints of power. And most of all, the worst part is that you're especially as a woman taught to turn on your own power. You're taught to turn on yourself. You're taught to not understand your own body. You're not taught about your own body. You're not taught about your own spirituality. You're not taught about your own intellect. Everything that can possibly be thought of to be used against you has been used against you. If you have to, for example, I was reading about something yesterday that really reminded me of something beautiful. If you've had to have an abortion, for example, and you have felt bad about it, or if you've lost or if you miscarried, whichever, but you've been swamped with guilt and grief and shame over this. I was reading an article about how the cells from that fetus don't ever go away. They're all in there, because what happens is you absorb at least some of it, and especially into your brain. Apparently, it probably goes through the bloodstream and just circulates, through the parts of your brain, I suppose. But the fact that it's still in there and it's still with you, and you didn't lose that baby, you did, but you didn't, and you don't have to feel guilt about it because the baby's with you in your cells, in your own cells. This is a temple. The goddess is in here. So she doesn't abandon any of her babies. things happen that kind of switch up the program a bit and kind of change the script a bit, but there is no abandonment. She doesn't abandon her own. So the cells are in there. Things like that. And you're not taught these kinds of things because it would bring you relief, and it would bring you happiness, and it would bring you release from the guilt and everything else. That would make you powerful. To not have guilt and shame holding you back alone would make you powerful. Because once you're not held back by bad feelings, hell, you can start to live again. That's powerful. All these things in this world are being uh, situated in just a certain way to make sure you don't ever rise up too high. And when you are, like I say, just being pounded with that shit every day, you keep yourself down, and you tell yourself, yeah, I don't have any business trying to do that. And you apply to jobs you don't like. You take classes for stuff you don't really want to do, but you figure you may as well because it's good to have the certificate anyway, even though you're not really interested. There's a lot of shit that you do. You accept men who aren't worth anything because you're too afraid to put yourself around men who are actually successful and are doing things with their lives and actually have some kind of caliber, because you think you shouldn't be around that much power, and you think you shouldn't have the power that would bring to you, and to feel powerful when you're around a powerful man like that. You've shut all of that out, and that translates eventually, that brainwashing of supposed to be doing that type of shit is translating in your brain. Eventually it's going to rot and ferment until it turns into, well, I just hate myself. And anything like that, there's a lot of stuff going on inside your mind that says, well, there's a lot of shit that you say to yourself you don't realize is low self-esteem, but it is. Anytime that you hold yourself back from living authentically, anytime that you hold yourself back from pursuing something you want to pursue, anytime you tell yourself that you shouldn't do something, or you're not really good at something, or you shouldn't have said that, or you shouldn't have done that, blah blah blah, all the guilt kind of stuff and the shame or whatever, all that is somebody somewhere in the history of time who made sure that you understood that you better never hold your head up. If you can start now to just train yourself, to just speak to yourself differently and say, no, you know what, it's okay for me to be powerful. Because what are women taught that the results of us being powerful would be, the consequences rather, I should say? You'll either mishandle it because you're not a man and you don't belong there in that position, so you'll mishandle it and you'll hurt somebody. And we can't have that. We can't have you run around hurting people because you don't know what you're doing. So that's what they want you to understand, quote unquote. That's what they want you to know about yourself. And the funny thing is, I just think it's funny that you're at the core of society, and you're not just society. You're at the core of creation itself. All these fuckers looking at you and saying, well, you don't need to be doing all that. You need to be doing this. Don't be doing all that other shit. They have to have an X chromosome in order to live. They have to have it. Everybody on this fucking planet has to have one X to even live at all. Otherwise, they really are just a clump of cells, indescript cells. So someone who basically is half girl is telling you that you shouldn't be powerful because you can't handle it. I don't understand that. I don't hate them. I just hate what they do. I hate their choices, is what I hate. Not them as a species, but I hate their choices. So, if you've seen one of my videos, you'll know that. You know, it's like I have to skip around a lot, because I skip around them a lot just to avoid being around low vibes. But I'm definitely pro woman, and I'm definitely pro lifting us up. There's one way to be for me. There's just one way to be. I'm definitely going to support women no matter what. And I want all of us to rise up and just be at the top. I want you to be at the top of your life, no matter what that looks like for you. It doesn't matter what your dream is. I think you should just be living it. What else is there? What else even is there? So The confidence issue is not, it's not necessarily you hating yourself because, something's wrong with you, even though that's how it seems. That's how it's translated. That's how your brain is putting it out now. But really, you've been taught to fear your own power. You've been taught to fear power in general, so you'll fear everyone else's. And then in turn, you see your own power and you're like, oh, that's not good. No. And that's why you don't want to pursue things that really make you feel alive. What if I didn't want to do belly dance? What if I didn't want to do that? What if instead I was afraid of that and I saw belly dancers and I thought, oh my God, they look amazing, but that's like a realm I'm not familiar with, that kind of feminine energy, that's feminine divine. I'm not sure about that. It looks great, but I just like, it's like a pipe dream, I can't really see myself doing that. I can't see myself getting that kind of attention. I can't see myself feeling that good about myself. Blah, blah, blah. That's power. There is power in dance, especially belly dance. It's ancient and it is purely woman. It's purely womanly. It's purely feminine from A to Z. And the fact that you see stuff like that, for example, and you say, oh well, that's cool, but that's not something um, that I think I should ever try to get into. I should never feel that way. I should never feel that way. And that's when you're really starting to betray yourself, and you realize that it's not just low self-esteem. It's a fear of power. Once you're taught to fear power in general, you it turns into you by proxy being taught to give up your own power. So now everything's working out perfectly for someone else because, hell, you're afraid of him and you're letting him do whatever he wants with your power, handing it over. You can't do that. Don't let anybody do that to you. Don't let anybody do that to you. Once you start to realize that there's going to be repercussions in life, whether you are powerful or not, you'll see that it's worth it to go ahead and just accept who and what you really are, which is the divine in the flesh. And you're just gonna say, fuck it, I'm just gonna go for this and just do this and live my life. And people get their fucking feelings hurt, then fine. And that's not cruel, that's not heartless. I don't see where that's a bad thing. All you're doing is living authentically in your own vibe and minding your own fucking business and doing what you want with your life to feel good about yourself. You have the hobby you want, you're eating the foods that you enjoy, you have the lifestyle that you want, you are at the job that you like, you have your routine that you like, that's part of your lifestyle. There's nothing wrong with that. You're just living authentically. That's not a sin. There's something, for what are we feeling bad for? What? That's your fucking life. This is your fucking life. That's why I don't like it when people, like, there's women who really believe in themselves and really love themselves and they say those things and they talk big about themselves, as they should. And there's always some son of a bitch that goes, well, you're really fucking into yourself, aren't you? Fuck yeah, I'm into myself. This is my fucking life. Who else am I supposed to be into? Who else am I supposed to be obsessed with? This is my goddamn life. Yeah, I'm obsessed with me. What do you think this is? What does this look like? Do you think this is a game? Like, what is it? This is chess, not checkers, bitch. The fuck? God damn. Whatever, bitch. Girl, bye. So it's just something to consider, the reactions that the feminine gets when she really just actually believes in herself like a fucking normal person should, because you deserve it and there's really no other way to be. You have an option every day to decide if you're going to be a loser or a baddie. There's not a whole lot of in between. Okay, give yourself two options. Make it easy on yourself and give yourself two fucking options every morning when you open your eyes. It's going to be base or baddie. Pick one. Ta-da! Mystery solved. Problem solved. It's that easy. And you say, well, looks like I'm going to be a baddie today. Let's go. And you start your day as the baddie that you are, that we know you to be, because fuck it, what else is there? This is your life. So being powerful isn't, if it's never going to be about pretending to be something you're not, or being in a position, a powerful position at work, and like lording it over people and making rules and hounding people. Those people think they're powerful, or at least they wish to God that they were, which is more likely. Those people who have that facade of, oh yeah, I'm the fucking bad bitch. And then you look at their life and really they're not shit. They're the manager at, some, no offense, maybe, well, I won't name anything, but I was going to, but I'm not going to. They're a manager at a job that they shouldn't be acting that uppity at. We'll put it that way. And I'll let your imagination do the work. You do whatever you want with that. Because I don't want to insult anybody who's trying to make it. But you see people who are in their position in life, and they really act like they're some kind of a badass. When I worked at the funeral home, I worked at Holloman Brown in Virginia Beach. I have nothing bad to say about them. They're not going to be able to take me to court, but I'm going to tell a story. There was a woman there. She doesn't work there now. She's finally too old to do it. Her name is Denise Campbell. And yes, I say people's names because, like, I literally don't. I mean, what? Come after me. Her name's Denise. She might still be alive. I don't really know. I haven't seen her in a very long time. And she was kind at first, but she also had a demeanor about her that was very micromanaging and very, I mean, just micromanaging on how she ran a tight ship, but it was to the point where it was a little bit unnerving because she got into things she didn't need to be getting into, as in people's business and in people's stuff. I noticed that. And one time, the guy that owned the place was Lewis Jones. He's died since then, but he was the mayor in Virginia Beach, and then he also owns Holman Brown Funeral Home. Well, his nephew or grandson or whoever the guy was, not Jason, but something. I can see the guy's face in my mind. I just can't remember his name, but his grandson. That guy came over to the Indian River Chapel where we worked, and he came in and was like looking for something. And Denise fucking goes up to him and says, not Jason, what was this guy's name? Anyway, she goes up to him and says, so and so, are you taking stuff out of my chapel? What? His grandfather owns this. Your name's not on the deed, Denise. Lewis Jones is. Like, it's just fucking dumb. And, so people that are, what the point here is that people that are in, quote unquote high positions as they see themselves are in fact not. It's not as big of a deal as they're making it to be, and the reason they're making it a big deal is because they feel small otherwise. I will say this in Denise's defense: she was a pain in the ass. She was. There's no other way to put it. She was a pain in the ass, but she had a good heart in other ways, um and she did do some nice things for me until she saw the funeral directors being kind to me, and it was men, and she didn't like that, and after that everything went to shit, but before that it was okay. So, but she felt small in life, and I can tell you that because of some of the stuff she told me about her early life, which I won't repeat. Something that part's, I'm not going to repeat that, but she was feeling small, and in order to make up for that, she put herself in a position of power, which is running the Indian River Chapel of Holloman Brown Funeral Homes in Virginia Beach. And she felt big and bad in there. She felt like a real motherfucking badass, like real baddest bitch in the land. Like she was feeling at the top, like Whitney Houston. Like that's how she acted. Like she was up there with her. And I just thought, Denise, is just a little office. Like it's not even busy over here. I didn't bug her about it. I just, said, well, whatever, this is your thing. And this makes you feel good. So, you know what I mean? So keep that in mind when people get into positions like that, or any kind of thing in life where it seems like they're supposed to be over you somehow. They really let it go to their heads. Everyone doesn't do this, obviously, when they get in positions like that, but the ones who do and really let it go to their heads and really like go haywire over that little first taste of power, they can't help themselves, and they're doing that because they feel so small otherwise. And then finally they've gotten into this place where they're allowed to make one or two decisions, and they just lose their shit because they've never been in control before. And that is a good way to humanize people in your life who are a pain in the ass, who are quote unquote over you in some way or another, like your manager or somebody like that, a college professor, whoever, someone who just really, they need to rethink life and not be the way they are if they're going to be a boss of any kind. They just need to come back down to earth with the rest of us. The real truth is they're feeling tiny. So that's why they lose their cool when they made it up there. I saw in the army too. I'm telling you right now, E5, as soon as somebody makes E5, a lot of those fuckers, not every last one of them, but a lot of those fuckers, when they finally tasted E5, ooh, you want to see somebody not be able to handle it, being in control, not being able to handle being in charge, you need to go visit some E5s and just see how they do. Just watch them for 5 minutes. You'll see what I mean. Just watch them. They're finally allowed to yell, and they're finally allowed to yell. They're finally being paid to yell. It's a man's paradise, I tell you. The military, they are paid to just yell at each other. The only difference now is they're not allowed to hit people anymore. So they're probably not as happy as they used to be 100 years ago. But I'm telling you, some things have changed, but they're that's their and that's their thing. That's their milieu. So don't let those people in power, quote unquote, positions of power, don't let that make you feel small. Don't let it make you feel like that's something you couldn't handle. Don't make it, don't let it make you feel like it's something you could never do or you're not cut out for. Okay, because you are cut out for it, and you would do a 10 times better job than anybody you've ever fucking seen. So don't stress it. Don't be upset. And don't be hard on yourself thinking that you'd never make it if you went that high. Because when you are vibing with yourself and vibing with your inner divine, you'll understand that the power is already in you anyway. You already have it. It's been fighting to get out. Your life gets easier when you stop resisting shit and you stop fighting shit inside you and you just let it out. Your power has been trying to come out all this time and you've just been sitting there stifling it, talking about, no, 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 that's not good. That's not a good look. I don't know if we can handle that anyway. We're not going to do all that. We're not going to aim high. No, I don't think so. You should. You should be aiming for the fucking stars and beyond that because you deserve it. Well, fuck. What else is there? This is your life. So nobody on this planet can tell you how far you're allowed to go. And if they do, fuck them. Leave them in the dust. Bitch, bye. So, yeah. And when you start to tap into that power and you do that however you want to pick up a hobby, you want to start doing something to feel good in your body, you want to start learning something real high-minded, medical stuff, psychology stuff or something, you want to pursue a job you've always had your heart set on but were too afraid, like something environmentalist or whatever it is, whatever has always been like down deep in there in your heart, buried, and you've been too afraid to pursue it or breathe life into it and let it come to the forefront and make decisions for you for once. That passion, that's your passion. As soon as you start living your passion, you'll realize that's where your power is, because that's what makes you come alive. And then that's why you start feeling powerful. That's why all those poor women in the 50s that had to that were so happy going to work every day, uh, at the factory or wherever, making their own paycheck and coming home to their own house alone, where they could just really and truly live in peace, period. And then once the war was over and everybody had to get the little waist again, the little 10-inch waist, and get back in the kitchen and look perfect all the time, once all that came back, it came back harder than ever in the 50s. It came back hard. And once that started, all those fucking women, Valium, da 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 da, whatever else they were giving them at the time, to shut them up and to convince them that they should be happy with what they're doing. They're taking care of their man. Aren't you happy? And and they were goddamn miserable and had to be doped up in order to just do it every day because it fucking sucked. They hated that. Not every last one of them, but by God, a lot of them. And they were all had to take a pill to quit being upset about taking care of a man. That's how bad it was. So they were miserable because they were doing something besides living authentically and living in their passion, which would have given them power. They were they were working at factories with other women all day long, surrounded by women. They were understood better in conversation because they were surrounded by women. They could talk about shit they wanted to talk about. They were making their own money. They could contribute to society and help their country in their own way. And they were running machinery, so it wasn't hard because they all went and did it. Talking about 1940s women, they were tiny. As like so the job. It wasn't like it was something only dudes could do. Obviously not. But they were so happy doing that and like getting out in the world and living life and living alone and having their own damn paycheck where they didn't have to ask, or hope or beg somebody else to go, see about getting a better job so they could live there. It wasn't any of that. They were in control and they were living their passion, whatever that was. And they were contributing and doing something that made them feel good and helping their country. And that they were pleased with that. The ones that did enjoy it, they were so happy. And then those ones, the ones that were so happy working, had to come home and just like do what they were told all day long by somebody who may or may not be able to buy them a fucking cheeseburger. I mean, there, there's a big difference between living your passion and not living it. There's a big fucking difference, and you'll know it. So, to get into your power, you need to look deep inside yourself and forget everything you've ever heard about people who are in control of you, or people who can dominate you, people who have uh, the freedom to dominate you in as and when they please. And that can be whatever comes into your mind. Imagine who you've ever been taught that is allowed to dominate you kind of as they want, and push them out of your mind and pretend for a second that they don't exist. That they don't exist. That power has never been abused. Just imagine to yourself, power hasn't been abused. You're living in some kind of utopia, and people can do what they want freely, and they're not getting hit. They're not getting shot. They're not getting told that they can't do this or can't do that. They're not being micromanaged. They're not being talked down to like they're stupid, by somebody above, quote unquote, above them. None of that is going on. And imagine yourself in some utopia where everything's fine and everyone can fucking breathe for once, and you can breathe for once, and you ask yourself, okay, now what do I really want to do? What do I really want to do? What's up? What's up with me? What's going on in there? What do I want? And you can ask yourself two things. One, if no one was lording it over me in my life, if no one was hanging over my head, fucking micromanaging me all the time, that person doesn't exist. That position doesn't exist. Hierarchy doesn't exist. What would I do with my life? You have your answer. And then if that doesn't work, there's one more thing that you can try. If money didn't exist, because people who have problems with power a lot of times have problems with money too, for some of the same reasons. But if money didn't exist and you didn't have to worry about paying bills, and that just wasn't part of reality, we were just living in some Atlanta somewhere where you didn't have to worry about it. No money to worry about, no bills to worry about. What would you do with your time? What would bring you joy to do every day? What is it? Working with children, working with animals, preserving the environment, restoring antique artwork or something, whatever it is that you want to do, teaching people how to do something. And that's what you need to start getting into. Find a way. Whatever's going on in your life, there has to be a way that you can figure out how to step into that power and step into that authenticity and start doing that thing that you love. There are so many people who don't even know what they want because they're so worried about being powerful, and they're so afraid that they're not going to be able to handle it. And you ever been in a situation like at a job or something where the manager like did some real dumb shit or did some real offensive shit, and you've thought to yourself at least one time in your life, you thought to yourself, you know what, damn it, if I was in that position and had that kind of power, I would have never done that to my employees because that's fucking bullshit. I would have never done that to my workers. That's horse shit. That's why fucking nobody respects them. If you've ever had that thought, you are exactly the person that needs to be in a position of power somewhere in your life, somewhere, somehow, or at least be feeling your own power in your life and being in power over yourself, which is the greatest power of all anyway. The job's one thing, but being in power over yourself is a different story. And to live authentically and to have your passion just flow through you, that is your power. Once you start doing that, nobody can fucking hold you back because you live in your passion. Like, whatever, bitch, I'll fucking move on with my life. Whatever. I still have me. I got me. I got my back. Got my own back. I'm fine. Bitch, bye. You know, my feelings aren't hurt. You know what I mean? And you'll be on that vibe, and then you'll be unstoppable. And it won't matter what happens. You know, your best friend argues with you over something dumb. They quit talking to you. Fine. You get fired from some stupid job. Fine. You flunk some class you're taking because you didn't really like it anyway. Fine. Time to move on to the next thing. Now we're gonna do shit for real. All the bullshit got washed out of the way. Now it's time to do the real passion. Let's find out what that is, and that's when you start getting powerful. So the position of power thing, the people who get up there and act out and show their asses and act up in those high places, they are feeling, like I say, we know they're feeling small, and those people have no idea what their purpose in life is. They have no damn idea. This is a good way to humanize somebody and to not be mad at them and to not waste your energy being mad at them, not to forgive them. If you know anything about me and you've seen any of my fucking videos or anything, you know that I'm not worrying about forgiveness. I fucking don't. I fucking don't. I don't have to fucking forgive anybody. You don't have to fucking forgive anybody. For what? You need to forgive yourself for letting that shit happen and letting yourself feel so bad. That's who you need to fucking forgive, is you. Period. Simple as. That's it. That's it. Ta-da! Problem solved. Wasn't that easy? Like, you don't need to be forgiving anybody but your fucking self. You let it carry on because you didn't believe in yourself and you weren't showing yourself enough love, and you let it continue when you should have shoved that person, I don't want to say off a cliff, that sounds cruel, but you know what I'm saying? Like, you should have got that person out of your life. They don't deserve to do that to you. You should forgive yourself for thinking that if you didn't let somebody do something to you or lord it over you or being cruel to you, that you weren't, I don't know what the issue is, you either weren't going to get the attention again from someone else or whatever the problem is. You need to start loving you, not the other person. Because to me, forgiveness is a form of love. That needs to go straight to you. You're the one who needs to love you. It's yourself that you need to start loving, not somebody else. The other person's on their own. They need to figure themselves out, whatever. You can't be held responsible for that. Therefore, you don't need to forgive them. So, people who get in those high positions in your life like that, or think that they're above you or over your head, and they act like a damn fool like that, they're actually really small otherwise, and they have to act up like that, and they have to show their ass when they clock in or whatever it is, because that's all they have. That's all they have, because they're not living authentically, and therefore they're not in tune with their real passion, whatever that is, and they're not in touch with their real power, whatever that is. That person, even though they're a son of a bitch, they do have some kind of gift that they can give this world. Everybody does. All our asses are here to learn and to give a gift to this world in some way or another. Most people don't figure it out because we got too many goddamn distractions. I know this. I know it. I get distracted too. I forget too. I have to stop and remind myself too. But the people who act up when they get a little taste of power are doing so because they don't know themselves and they have no idea what they're doing. You, on the other hand, do. That's why you get so pissed off at stuff, because you babysitting wherever you go. At the same time, smothering your own power. So stop betraying yourself. Stop doing that, and start doing what you want. And if someone gets their feelings hurt, you know what? It's okay. That's quite all right. That is quite all right. I'm fine with that. So, because people are going to come and go in your life no matter what. Nobody, well, I can't say nobody, but it's very rare that people stick around forever. Very rare that one person in your life is going to stick around forever and always be right up under you. You know, your children is one thing. If you've been good to your children and they love you and they talk to you every day, that's different. But I just mean like friends, associates, you know, people that you meet by chance or whatever. Those people are not always going to be in your life. Things shift too much for that. If you have a certain group of friends and they're like on a certain vibe, and you start feeling like you're outgrowing that, which I have done it. The outgrowing a certain group of friends or a certain friend, I understand completely what that means, what it's like, what it feels like, and what it's like afterwards, and the journey that is. I get it. If you have a group of friends or a certain friend that you're close with, and you start to outgrow that friendship, and you start to think, you know what, I want to be more powerful in my life. I don't want to be here anymore. This isn't helping me. This person's not bad, but they're not. This dynamic is not helping me anymore. I don't feel good about this. Should I end this friendship? And the answer is yes. Short answer, yeah, you should, because you're moving on, and it's not bad. You eventually you'll get to a point where you're ready to go up a level in your life and in your power, and in your spiritual power, and in your ascension and your progress and your maturity. You'll get to a point where you're ready to level up, and then you're like, you know what, I don't want to do this with y'all anymore. I'm sorry. It's just like no hard feelings. It's just like I do something else now. And that's all there is to it. It's the same reason you quit a job and go do a different job. It's the same reason you want to move out of a certain neighborhood and get to a different neighborhood. It's the same reason you um, leave one club of a certain interest and go start getting a club of another interest. You leave the book club and you get into the athletic club, whatever. You're shifting. That's all it is. So, like I've said before, you know me. There's no. I don't do shame and shit like that. When you're ready to shift in your life and go in a different direction and start doing something different and start growing into your next level, it's okay to say goodbye to shit. Sometimes it feels a little bit lonely. Sometimes it does, but you'll get to a point where it's not that way anymore. At first, it kind of is, yeah, but you'll get to a point where you start attracting your new level of people that you're now on with them, and you'll start getting the new vibe of people coming into your life, and then you'll see that it was all worth it. It was all worth it. So, whatever your fears are about around stepping into your authenticity and your passion and your power, you need to go ahead and do it anyway. You need to go ahead and do it anyway, because you're living in your life right now. You're in the moment now, in this moment right now with me. And you have a choice now if you're going to stay stagnant or if you're going to choose courage and say, no, I'm just going to go in. I'm just going to go in and do this. I'm going to shift. I'm just going to accept the shift. Because the more that you resist shit, the harder it's going to be anyway. And if you just quit fighting it and just say, I don't want to have this feeling anymore. I want to move on to the next thing and start living life for real and live my life the way I'm supposed to live it, then just do it. You just do it. Somebody's been holding you back, tell them to go to hell. It's really that easy. Like, a lot of this stuff is easy, but it's a matter of you making the choice to just do it and holding yourself accountable. But as you do that, you mature, and you realize that you have yourself to thank in the end. You have yourself to thank because you had your own back and found your power and stepped into it, and live it, and now you feel good about yourself, and there's no issue with low confidence or low self-esteem or whatever the difference is. And to be honest, I'm not really sure. Some people say there is. I don't know. I just know there's no room for it around here. Okay. And to be authentic and to start feeling good about life and step into that power. And once you do that, everything fucking falls into place, because you start attracting things that are at your new vibe that you have so desperately needed for so long. So that's it for that. That's all I got. I hope this was helpful. I hope it was enlightening. I'm glad you're in my world. I'm glad you found me. And stick around, and I'll see you again.